Hey guys, so today we're going to show you how to install our rear trunk kit. And this is the same procedure whether you have the vented or non-vented version of the cover. The only difference obviously is with the vented one, you're going to install all the screens. So for the video today, we've kind of pre-installed everything, pre-assembled I should say. So this is our bed bracket. We put our lower strut mount in. We put our filler plate on. We left all this loose. That's kind of the main thing is these bolts you want to leave loose. These you can tighten up so that when we go to put everything on, as we put things in, we're going to put them in finger tight till we get everything on. Then we're going to do our final alignment, tighten everything down, and she'll be ready to go. So we've got our rear bed bracket, our side mount brackets, our gas struts, which we'll do last, and then all of our hardware. And then here's the tools that we need. We've got a 1/2 inch, 5/8, and 3/8 box wrench, the same sockets. We've got a standard Allen key set. That'll come in really handy. A small ratchet extension, and then a T40 hex key for some of the factory bolts. So, and of course we've got all that stuff from our Boxo toolkit that we just couldn't do without. So thanks to the guys from Boxo for setting us up. But so let's get started on this. So first things first, on this car, we've got our bed storage and cooler bags in. So we're going to show you, on another video we showed you how to put all that stuff in. We're going to show you how the trunk works with this stuff. Obviously, if you don't have it, then you won't need to do those steps. But it's real simple. We're going to start off with undoing these straps here. These factory bolts. There's 4 of them. These 2 down here, and then the 2 up there. So we removed all of the factory bolts, those 4 factory bolts there, the 2 up top. We won't need those straps anymore. The trunk cover will keep the cooler in there nice and tight. You can still get it out, but it does keep it in there. So next up is going to be to install our rear bracket. So this is the bracket here. The bracket goes on, just lines up with these holes, those same 2 holes that were there. We take these 2 bolts. We'll take our strap for our bed bag, and that strap will go on top of the bracket, and then we'll put the bolts back in. And this one, we'll go ahead and tighten it down. This one we don't need to leave loose. There's really no adjustment on that one. And then we've got our little rubber bump stops. These go in, they just press into the holes. Real easy to put in there. And what this is gonna do is when you close the trunk, this is gonna give you a little bit of a cushion to create some pressure so it stays nice and tight and doesn't rattle. Next up is going to be our bed brackets. So our bed brackets can really only go one way. It has this washer that's welded on here. This washer will line up with these big holes in the bed here. So you can just set this in, line it up, and then we'll drop our bolts in. The way that those bolts work is we've got our bolt with the washer on it. That'll drop down through the hole. And then we've got our large fender washer and nut that goes on the bottom. So you can just reach up underneath, put the washer on, put the nut on the bottom, and you're good to go. We'll do the same thing for the front bolt. Just drop that bolt down in there. Reach up underneath with the large washer, large fender washer, and the nut. Put that on. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And again, you're leaving these a little bit loose so you have some adjustment in there. We'll give them a full tighten down later after we get the cover on. Okay, so we've got both of our bed brackets in. Next up, we're gonna put the front panel on. So let me grab that and I'll show you how that goes. So to put this in here, you're just gonna slide it underneath of the bed covers, or the bed caps. Line it up that way. Slide it down in there. On some cars, you'll need to take a 5/8 wrench and loosen up these bolts so that you can move this seat belt out of the way. Go ahead and leave those loose for now. We'll tighten those down when we do our final tightening. And then set these screws in here. Again, just putting them in finger tight for now until we get everything lined up. So now that we've got the front panel in, I'm gonna show you how to secure that down with these panel bolts. Now on this one, it's pretty tricky, it's pretty tight in there, so what we've done is taped the nut to the washer. Makes it a little bit easier to get it up on underneath there. Probably not a bad idea to enlist the help of somebody with small hands. As you can see, a lot easier with taping that nut to the washer. So little trick. And then this side is a little easier to get to. So next up, we got our 2 front bolts in, and now we're gonna secure the front panel to our bed bracket. So this bolt, you'll take one of your small bolts, drop that in there, get that lined up, and then grab your 5/32 Allen key, take your nut, set it up underneath there, and just get this thread started. Again, we don't want to tighten this down yet. We just want to get it on there. So next step is going to be to install the actual lid. So we've went ahead and installed all of the vents and our brackets. As you can see here, the brackets have the bend going to the outside on both sides. And then we've also installed our latch. Real simple, and the latch just pops in the hole. This bolt goes through the back side of it, and it's ready to go. So to do this, it's a lot easier with the help of a friend. So, but we're basically just gonna put our 4 bolts up here and hand tighten those down, do our final adjustments, and then we'll lock everything down and we'll show you how that goes. So you have somebody lift up the front, or the back of it. Put your bolts through. Washers and nuts. Up a little bit, Joji. And one other thing about the trunk is it will work if you've got the Rockford Fosgate audio system. It'll work with SSV audio, pretty much any of the different audio kits that are out there. Even if you've got your big wakeboard tower speakers up on the side here, plenty of clearance for those when it's all the way open. So the last thing you want to do is kind of get it all lined up here. Make sure that your filler plates over here line up nice. Everything looks good. And now we can start to tighten things down. So we'll work our way from the front to the back to tighten things down. We'll get all that done. Again, all those bolts that we put in, bed brackets, all your front plate brackets. Make sure you tighten your seat belts back down. We'll come back when we're all done with that. We'll show you how to adjust the latch and get it to where it closes nice and perfect. Okay, so we've got everything tight. And next we're gonna adjust the latch to make sure it's a snug pull. So you can see now, I can lift up on this, it's loose. So we're gonna take that out of it and adjust it. The way we're gonna do that is by adjusting this bolt right here. So we'll thread this bolt out. Get our lock nut. Close. We want to put a little bit of tension on it so that when we close it, it pulls it nice and tight. So that should be nice and snug. So no rattles, nothing else. Then what we'll do is we will lock this down to where it cannot move. Tech tip would be to take a measurement of this. That way, if it ever feels like it's coming loose or you hear it rattling around, you can always come in and retighten this and make sure that it's nice and snug. So we've got our latch adjusted where we want it. A couple of tech tips as you're going through this. It is a little bit easier if you take these plastic covers off. Just gets them out of the way while you're doing your install, gets them out of the way of the bolts, especially this one here, and then you can put them back on when you're done. That's what the cutout in this is for these pieces here. And those are only on the Pro R, so if you've got a Pro XP or a Turbo R, yours is not gonna have these, so you don't need to worry about those. Next up is this bolt right here that holds the panel down. I would suggest tightening this bolt before you tighten these two bed bracket bolts down here. Just makes it a little easier to keep everything aligned when you go to close it. So again, once you've got all those bolts tightened, the last thing is to put our struts in. So it is a quick release mechanism, so the strut will just pop right on there. And then on the top, just pops right on. And you can put these on whichever way you want, it doesn't really matter. The only thing you need to remember is that these go out, these face out, or these face in towards the center of the bed, these face out towards the outside of the car. That lines everything up. And then shut it, latch it, you're done. So we've got our struts on. The last thing we're gonna do is just get all those nasty fingerprints off. So we'll grab some SDR shine spray, spray it on there, wipe it down. Now it's ready to show off to our friends. So thanks for following along while we showed you how to install your trunk cover. Again, this is for the vented and non-vented version, Pro XP, Turbo R, and Pro R, all pretty much the same installation. So any questions, give us a call, send us an email, 800-277-2280. We're happy to help. So one last thing I wanted to show you guys is your kit is going to come with a sheet like this. This is basically the layout that you can use that shows how everything goes together, shows how your nuts, bolts, and washers all go, where they all go, and what size those are. So you can use this for a reference as you're going through. I know with the video it kind of shows you how everything is, but this diagram here does give you the layout of how everything sorts out on the car, so it's really useful. This will be in the box, just set it aside and you can refer to it as you're going through the install.